The Culture Currency show is for those who recognize that nuance is key. We don't pretend to have all the answers, but we tackle the issues that affect the majority when speaking of Black America. Our discussions are informed by the host's personal experiences and insights, and we're always open to evolving our perspective as we gain new understanding. This is the story of two friends from the Bronx who decided to get real, be direct, and impact Black culture.
Welcome to Culture Currency, where culture is the value.
Good day, good day.
Great day. How you doing today?
I'm good, I'm good.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm Mahogany,
I'm Ish.
and this is Culture Currency.
Where culture
Is the value. I want to discuss parentified siblings. And the reason I want to discuss it is because we have all of these discussions about parenting and family. And it's important that we understand the healthy versus the non-healthy dynamics that we have in our infrastructure when it comes to our family.
Okay.
All right, so I want to start there.
So can you define parentified or parentification?
Simply put, it's when the oldest child of the siblings is placed in a parental role doing more than a sibling is supposed to do. I think it's only right that we start this discussion with some of the reasonings why young people would be parenting their siblings.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Because although it is an unhealthy scenario, there are sometimes good reasons
It's
why
a shared
it
need.
is a thing.
Absolutely.
Right? So when we start discussing, the state of Black people in America, we already know, and we've had this discussion multiple times, about why the men are out of the household.
So definitely incarceration is definitely a big reason why a lot of times our families are over-reliant on the older siblings helping out, because then we have these single-parent households where the parent that's still home with the kids, which is usually the mom, she's working 2 or 3 jobs, to survive. So that's definitely one reason, right? What's some other reasons?
The drug epidemic.
The drug epidemic, right? So when crack hit our neighborhoods in the 80s, right? So now the parents are sick, mentally ill, physically ill, and now unable to care for their young people. For their kids. So the way they once were. So now the older sibling is the one relied on if they're not still extended family may still pitch in, but it's the older siblings who's holding it down in the household.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And this is connected to the first one when you spoke about men being, taken out of the households for whatever reason. There's that parent that's still there still needs to work.
Yep.
That household still needs finances coming in.
Yep.
So once a parent has to work and they're out of the house, a lot of times, even when you're working, it's not enough money to sustain.
Yeah.
And so paying for babysitting
is not
always an option,
No,
right?
no.
And so that older sibling becomes parent number 2.
Right.
And, we get that.
Right.
We 100%
we
get
lived
that.
through it. I mean, that was my case and that was your case.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My older sister is my other mother, right? And I had both parents, right? My mother was in the household, but she was working constantly. My father was not in the household. He was outside of the household, so he wasn't as hands-on as he could have been if he was in the household. Plus, he got into trouble and was incarcerated at times and different things like that. So my older sister took the brunt of it.
In my case, my father was incarcerated when we were 6, so my mother had to work more than she probably would have. I remember even getting pulled out of certain programs and not being able to go to auditions and do certain things because Dad was no longer there. So now my oldest sibling, he's 9 years older than me. One of them, but he's 9 years older than me, the one that was in the house, and he took on making sure that me and Elle were good after school and doing our homework and all of those, and also helping out financially. There's a lot that was put on him because of that.
But we still tease my sister a little bit when we talk about running, going back in memory lane, because she's so aggressive.
Yeah.
So aggressive, like gets so frustrated so quickly. And I remember the days when she had to take me to school in the morning. And it was like, I'm a kid being a kid. Everything not that serious to me. Right? So, but it's serious to her, because she not only is responsible for the outcome of me, but she's responsible of her outcomes for school. So I got to get you to school, but I also got to be in school on time. And you playing. I want to watch cartoons in the morning. You know what I mean? She like, yo, get your stuff on. And I'm sitting there like the Smurfs is on. You know what I mean? That was her reality, and I'm not knowing at the time that it shouldn't have been her reality.
Right.
So it's a big thing.
Yeah, my oldest brother's a tough guy. You know what I'm saying? Thorough guy, always been real serious. Sometimes he'll just be sitting there on the couch looking like this. I'm like, what is he thinking? And I'll be standing there looking at him. And so much on his mind. There's a lot going on, so yeah.
Do you feel like it is an older sibling's responsibility to take care of their younger brothers and sisters?
No, absolutely not. I don't think it's their responsibility at all. It's just the reality of the situations in the world we live in, and coming from the inner city and lacking in areas of finance, you know what I mean, especially black and brown people. So I don't think it's their job. I think it's good for definitely older siblings to set an example, for their younger siblings, to build good relationships with them, spend time with them and stuff like that. But actually being a dependent on caregiver, no, because that child is also still developing. You know what I mean?
I agree to some degree. I do think that it is a responsibility for older siblings to take care of their younger siblings, just not in the ways that a parent does.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Right? And so I want to be clear to the audience, right? I want to be clear to the audience that we're not saying that older siblings is not supposed to...
Oh, no, they're supposed to look out, make sure they're good.
Lend a helping hand in the house. I think everyone in the household is a tribe. We're all supposed to pitch in and do what it takes to make this household run in a healthy manner.
Absolutely.
However, when we speak about the parenting aspect, parenting is a different level of taking care of,
responsibility.
right?
Is a whole different level of responsibility, yeah. Where, like, the parenting responsibility is more of, is I have to do this. You know what I mean? I have to make sure that the bills are paid, or I have to make sure that the child has clothes and gets up and goes to school on time and eats after school and eats dinner, has breakfast, clothes are ironed, clothes are cleaned, all of those things, that's parenting.
Yeah, that's parenting.
You know what I mean?
When that older child responsibility is waking up, bathing the other kids, getting them dressed, feeding them, making their food, making sure they're on time, you gotta know that you're overextending them.
Right, and then with that, like you're saying all these things in the morning, a lot of times we see our young people have academic impacts because of that. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? Yeah.
There was a young man in one of the programs who I was discussing with him the amount of time that he wasn't showing up to my class. And he was letting me know, like, it's not that I'm not showing up to your class. I wasn't showing up to school. And I'm like, well, why are you not here so often? He's like, I got younger siblings to take care of, and I have to make sure this and that. I couldn't say anything. Couldn't say anything, because although that it shouldn't be his situation, it is his situation. And that's not somewhere my hand and my voice is permitted.
And then
you know what I mean?
I often think about those things, with being in the school so deeply and knowing the amount of young people that miss first period. A lot of times it's because of the added responsibility that they have before they even get to the building.
Absolutely.
One thing about it, though, when the older sibling takes on a strong responsibility, that it can build stronger bonds between the siblings, which is good. And one thing that I think that's always needed is that the younger siblings have a high level of respect for their older siblings. I don't really respect or even understand the households when the younger siblings are allowed to disrespect the older siblings.
That part.
I don't understand that.
That part.
Yeah.
I was going to address both of those statements you just made. So in the young people having to be an extra parent. There is perks that come with it, but there's also a bunch of downfalls that come with it, and the downfalls outweigh the perks.
Right.
So some of the things that I wrote down as far as perks, I noticed that the older sibling who had to take care of the household is much more resilient.
Oh, yes. Oh, man. Resilient, because the level of responsibility, they're fully functional.
Yes.
They know how to handle things in the world, get bills paid and handle.
Self-sufficient.
Yes, self-sufficient.
Very self-sufficient,
Yep.
very resilient, much more responsible.
Yep.
Because they're doing what, like, if you're parenting, you have to be these things.
Right.
And so it's giving them a crash course on being much more intentional
Right.
and different things like that.
Right.
So you watch them operate in the world and you're like, yo, not half bad.
Right.
But the mental and emotional aspect of it is the issue.
Exactly, because even though they're resilient, a lot of times they're also resentful. And sometimes it causes issues later in life between parent and child.
Absolutely.
Because they've had to do so much, and now the parent, by the time that child is older, and the younger sibling, is a whole different parent.
Whole
More stable,
different
mentally
relationship.
stable, financially, it's a whole different relationship. And the older sibling was left with all of the marks and all the scars.
All of the scars. But also not just resentment for the parent, the resentment that takes place within the sibling group.
That's true.
Sometimes the older sibling, don't really rock with the younger sibling because it's like they're focusing their anger or frustration on the wrong person.
That's true. Well, I hate you when that is very true. Yes, yes.
Also, one of the negative outcomes
Right.
of, sibling taking a parental role in their younger siblings' lives is a lot of times anxiety and depression become a part of their reality.
Yes, anxiety and depression. That's something that we cannot leave out there, because when you're holding so much in, you don't have these outlets to let them out because you're not there. It's like we said, missing out on extracurricular activities, missing out on your art programs, missing out on your outside play and stuff like that, or just having that stress like, when I get up in the morning, then I gotta do this. How many times do we not feel like taking care of responsibilities and you're that much more tired or down because you know what you have to do the next day? Imagine doing that
As
from
a
12
kid.
to as a kid, knowing what you
Yup.
gotta wake up in the morning and do
Yup.
a bunch of stuff. Plus you got the homework.
Yup.
And you too tired to do it.
And we still expect them to show up and show out with their work.
Yep.
You mess up in school,
Yup.
it's still on you.
It's still on you.
No matter how much other stuff they done piled
Right. Yup.
on your plate.
Yup.
It's unfair.
And a lot of teachers are not asking what's going on or having a conversation like you had with the young man about what's going on to figure out how can we be creative and support this child with this added responsibility.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Also the feeling of being cheated out of life. You know what I mean? And
part.
holding that, and that's something that never leaves.
That part.
When you had a certain talent and you knew you could have went far, and you could have done this and that, but you had these added responsibilities, living with the feeling of being cheated out of your own life. You know what I mean? And that's another part of the whole resentment thing.
And the person who cheated you was your parent?
Right,
Oof.
right.
Woo.
Right. But it's a bigger thing. It's the parent, but sometimes it's a
It
larger-
varies.
Yeah, it varies.
It varies because we made sure that we brought up, all of the
right.
things that are possibilities of the reasoning behind this, right? But then some people are just kind of like partying their life away and their children is the parent.
But you know what? Shout out to all the older siblings out there that took care of your younger siblings, like myself and Mahogany. We appreciate y'all to the
Absolutely.
fullest. All the second parents out there that did your thing. I know it's a big sacrifice, and I hope life has been kind to you after.
Thank you, Jermaine.
Thank you, A, and shout out to Tawanda. I know you did your thing too.
Sadie.
And many, many more.
So what would you say age-appropriate responsibilities are when it comes down to these type of scenarios?
9, cooking. No, I'm just kidding. Age appropriate. That is a good one. It definitely depends on their mental development, right? So where they are, because when we say older,
Yeah,
it
we
can
gotta
go
be-
on,
we
it can
gotta
go
be
on
real
and
with
on,
it.
right? So I want to start from teenagers.
Okay.
Right? I want to start from even preteen. It could be 12, 13, 14, 15. It can be happening.
Say something that's not appropriate
one of the things that I feel is, for the lack of a better word, I'm going to say inappropriate, but it could be not be done, you know, but not being judgmental about it, because sometimes it's unavoidable. But when a teenager, a high school teenager, has to miss classes in order to first take their younger siblings to school, it's really unfortunate, because there's so many opportunities that they're missing. Because showing up a lot of times is half of the grade, and is that one thing that can take a student from failing to actually passing the class.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So which means that is then affecting their higher education and those opportunities
in their future.
So it's a ripple effect. So I would say any age, if you have to miss out on things for your own development as a child, for your younger siblings, that's, I mean, at any age, that's just unfortunate.
Yeah, I would also say the responsibility of cleaning up behind your siblings.
Oh, no.
I really, really don't understand the inability to hold the younger siblings accountable for their actions.
Yeah.
Because now you're not only making your other child a parent, but you're making the younger children hard to parent.
I love it.
You know what I
That's
mean?
really good. That's really good. And then also, everything is really about development, right? So when a child is 3 years old, you can say, okay, put your toy back. Even if they mess up, you just get them into that
used
thing.
to it.
Start singing the songs, clean up, everybody, everywhere. You get those kind of routines going. And then the same way you want the older siblings to be responsible and able, you want that for the younger ones as well.
Absolutely,
you know? Yeah.
absolutely, and that's important.
When you have more, they could take care of them. Just keep the pipeline going.
Yo, you going? You stupid. So when that happens, when stuff like that happens, when
another one.
When the younger siblings are no longer being held accountable for their actions, and the older sibling is being held accountable for their actions, they're the older one is the only one getting the lesson.
Yeah, holding the brunt, right.
And therefore, now you're ruining the mental and emotional capacity of the older one, but you're ruining the ability to be self-sufficient.
Yep.
And all of those other things for the younger ones.
Absolutely, absolutely. And another thing I have down here is missing extracurricular activities or time with friends.
Yes.
Because you have to be in the house with the older sibling. Now, those are the things, like when you start having that emotional deterioration because you're being a parent, those are the things that are frowned upon. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean?
When the older sibling are putting all this work to help you
so
out.
now they can't be on the basketball team?
But when it's time for them to say, oh, my friend is having this event.
Yep.
It's an appropriate
I need
event.
you to do this.
That's crazy.
Or if you go, you got to take them with you.
I ain't gonna lie, growing up, all of my siblings, like that was a precursor to them going anywhere, is I was the tag along, right? And what I realized was that my mother utilized that as way of watching the older ones so that they didn't get into certain stuff, because if they did certain stuff around me,
right,
she was not only was she gonna know, but there's a bigger chance that they'll say opt out of something because they know
you here and you might tell.
Yeah.
My brother, if we followed him around, I probably would have been a baby gangster. I probably would have been a little baby gangster. I would follow him around. Oh God. Yeah.
That's why I said I got all of the stories because I was their tag along.
Right. The unfortunate part is that everything that we're talking about is actually going to get worse, and in the ways that the crack epidemic, it caused issues in the community, deterioration in the community, the same way mass incarceration caused big issues in the community still to this day. That this big, beautiful bill and the $7 billion that got cut from schools without explanation, we're going to feel it.
Of course we are.
You know, the middle class, the poor, we're going to feel it because our after school programs are getting cut. So where do our kids go? With the older siblings home. You know, free lunch programs are being cut. SNAP is being cut.
Yep.
People are not going to be able to eat. So not
all
only
of the support systems.
All of the support systems. So now, actually, the older siblings are also going to be dependent on for money. So stipends from their programs or getting jobs and stuff like that. They're going to be so it's going to be even more reliance on older children.
Yeah, and it's understandable, right? Because we want to make sure that we keep the village/tribe mentality, right? We all should be chipping in
Yeah, we gotta take
you know,
care of
to
each
make
other.
sure that
Yeah.
our families are okay.
Yep.
So I always
Our
want to make
communities,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah. I want to make sure that within this conversation, we're being very clear that we're not saying that everyone shouldn't be a part of
Right.
the help.
Right.
We're just speaking in terms of that help going beyond the level of help and becoming
Damn.
parental responsibility.
You know what? I've been very responsible for a long time, right? And as I was researching and thinking about this topic, I'm forgetting that my niece, Sade, was like my first kid. I was in junior high school. I'm 9 years older than Sade. I had to pick her up every single day after school. I didn't hang out with my friends after school and chill and wait. I had to go straight to go pick her up, take her home, do her homework with her until her mother got home. Why? Because my oldest brother, he was in jail now at this time. So his child's mother had to work. So he depended on me, my mother,
But you was paying it forward.
huh?
You was paying it forward.
I
He
was
took care of you.
Right.
And now you was taking care of his.
Right, but I was like 12. You know what I mean? 13. And then other parents who had to work in the neighborhood, I would babysit for $5.
Nice.
You know, while you run to the store and do stuff like that. But I think that level of responsibility and being like super functional came from that because I was really responsible for her, you know? But I don't know what I missed. I'm sure I missed some stuff, but in my teenage years, I got it back.
You didn't feel
Yeah.
the loss because it wasn't necessarily full parenting.
Right.
Like what we were
No, I didn't have to feed her
discussing.
dinner and all of that kind
you
of stuff.
wasn't
That
doing
stuff,
all
I
that.
had to
It's
give it
different.
to her, but it was cooked.
Yeah, it was.
You know what I'm
it's
saying?
different.
Yeah.
You was lending a helping hand. It's very
Right.
different.
That is very different. Yeah. Yeah.
So I would just say, going forth, parents who, you know, have no other option but to have their older child pitch in a little more than what children are supposed to.
Right.
I would say make it age appropriate. Their responsibilities, make them age appropriate. Prioritize the needs of all kids, not
Yes.
just
Yes, not the younger
Yeah.
kids. That's a good point. Because saying making age appropriate, some people may not even understand what that means, but a lot of us do. Some of us may not. But that one there, you said take care, prioritize
every last one of
Yeah,
them.
every so the older one is not being left out. So if they have that extracurricular activity where maybe they can't do the first cycle, you know, from October through January, but February through May they
It's
can
all
get
about
in there.
them.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just all about them and, you know, being fair in that way. Yeah. Yep.
And encourage healthy engagement based on mutual respect with the siblings. Because I hate to see the older sibling having to take on such responsibility and still not getting respect from
Yeah,
the
and
younger
disrespected
siblings.
is
And the
crazy.
parent is not making sure
That's right.
to
Check that.
yeah. It has to be something that is a part of the necessity.
That's right.
If you're gonna put this child in this position,
Make sure they're respected.
make sure that they're
position.
respected in that position.
Absolutely, 100%. And I see it all the time. It's just like, what do you mean your young sibling doesn't respect you? You got to go through all this stuff now.
One of the negative outcomes of being, you know, a child who's parenting their siblings is that they have a hard time with being, they're people pleasers. And I thought that was interesting to see because I'm like, the way that their resilience shows up, you wouldn't think that that those things would be, you
Right.
know, close in nature.
Right.
But
When
when
they-
I thought about it, I'm like, this makes a lot of sense.
So they're constantly taking care of others, but not really seeing the need for them to be taken care of, or sometimes not even knowing how to accept it. That tough shell is a lot of stuff under there.
a lot under there, a lot of pain, a lot of feeling neglected, and a lot of feeling like they're unworthy of being the focus.
That's right. That's right. Because they've been taking care of others so long that they don't know how to accept that.
So it tends to infringe on their personal relationships, like their friendships and their romantic relationships. It says that it truly infringes on those things because of those inner struggles.
And so where they feel as if it's really about other people and them taking care of other people but don't really know how to accept them being taken care of, or when they have needs that that needs to be filled. They feel guilty about taking care of themselves or putting themselves first. They feel like they must take care of everybody else, and that is their role, and kind of take care of them, and kind of take that on everywhere. But then that becomes exhausting. That becomes, you burn out like that. You know what I mean? Just as a human, just
as a-
holding that all the time.
Surely as a human. You know, listening to you speak, I can't say that this is why, but now that we're having this discussion, I'm feeling like this is why. I was getting to know a young lady who was also an older sibling, and the younger sibling has a lot of issues, but she was the parent of that sibling. And she was people pleaser to the third degree. And when I say that, it's because it was really obvious that she would become whatever I needed her to be. And it turned me off.
Wow.
I thought that the way that she was able to take care of me was attractive. Like she's really, really maternal, really a caregiver. But I got that too.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I liked the way that give and take was. But she definitely had a hard time with sitting down and allowing me to do. And she also was willing to be whatever it was that I wanted her to be. And it felt so disingenuous that I was so off it, because I can't
like
deal
you're
with,
just doing
I need
it.
you to be you.
Right. Not
You know
what I
what I
want
mean?
you to be.
Yeah.
Right.
And allow me to love who you are, or
Right.
not.
Right. But you feel like she hasn't discovered who she was and kind of just like...
Yes, because she was so busy in a role of caring for others, she didn't have the time or make the time to figure out who it is that she is actually.
And you know what? And when we think about that passion episode, when it was like live in your purpose on purpose, how many older siblings that you know went through the whole parentification stuff, how many had the time to do that?
That's right. These are the blind spots.
These are the blind spots, and these are the
blind spots.
lifelong impacts of it all. Damn.
That's deep.
It is deep. When you think about it, this was part of the ultimate plan for the Black community. You know what I mean? When you bring in drugs and you bring in mass incarceration, it is to create these...
Take our focus.
Take our focus and lose and build these types of cycles that keep us from being the greatest people we can be. But we're also resilient. But imagine if we didn't have to jump over these hoops and fight all these barriers to get through.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? But this is the impact of it. However, what we're talking about is being conscious of our decisions, you know, with our kids. Because already a lot of times you have your kid doing stuff after school, and then you got the nerve to still go out because you feel like going out. Now they got to be in the house. Like now they can't play video games. They got to do. You know what I mean? Like
that's the part right there.
That's when the selfishness starts coming in.
That's when it becomes super inappropriate.
Yep.
Now, now they got to be the caretaker while you partying too.
Right.
Like so they miss out on life, but you should not.
But you should not.
For your choices.
Because you're like, because I need to live too.
Your choices is your choices.
But you made this choice
so
to do this.
your choice is your responsibility. Not your choice is their responsibility.
But a lot on the flip side, when people make choices, right? Say you make a choice, you have a baby with someone. A lot of times you think you're gonna be with that person.
Yeah, that's no excuse.
Okay.
That's no excuse. At the end of the day, we make choices, and we make choices. Not all the time does the response of the choice turn out to be what we desire it to be or what we thought it was going to be. But we still got to roll with whatever it is the outcome is.
Because you don't just get to...
Yeah, you don't just get to pawn your outcome onto somebody else. What the hell are we talking about right now?
Like, it's not my fault, but you know what? But, you know, we could all justify everything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of that is happening. So the ones who are just grinding and doing what you got to do, we understand. But some of y'all being straight up selfish and not thinking about the lifetime impact that your decisions can have on your young people when you're basically forcing them into the role of being a parent at a young age.
Absolutely. And think about it like this, man. When we sit here as Black people, we sit here and we talk about the nastiness of slavery, right? Somebody placing us in a position they chose us to be in. And we think that it's the most horrible thing in the world to be mistreated, put in a position that we didn't choose, doing whatever it is that was chosen for us for this amount of time. And we have absolutely no problem with doing that to anyone else.
So hopefully you're not beating your child half to death and all of that kind of stuff.
I mean, that's sometimes a part of the equation, but that's not what we discussed.
Right?
Yeah. Nah, I think this was a great discussion.
Just some things to talk about, y'all. To think about, some food for thought. Yeah, some food for thought.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm Mahogany,
I'm Ish.
and this is Culture Currency.
What culture?
Is the value.
Make sure to like, share.
Subscribe and comment.
Peace.